Hey everybody, how's it going today? I'm Joey Stickerz, and today, in light of my stream plans and whatnot being derailed by things that I can't really control, I've decided to go ahead and share my lore secret in a different way. Because I decided also that since I wasn't going to be able to stream like I wanted to, it wouldn't be fair of me to not share this secret with anybody else. So, alright, so we already understand the basis of my lore, right? How I am a janitor at a magic college called Hexford University, and in this college, I work there as a janitor. And in this world that I live in, magic is very common because you're either born with it or it comes to you naturally eventually. I do not have my magic yet, and magic is not it doesn't define social status or anything like that. It defines what your career path will be. And since I don't have my magic, I'm kind of stuck with very few options. My father, on the other hand, was a spellsmith. That means he enchanted weapons and whatnot. And he was a very big part of the war, because he would go out into the front lines and aid everybody by sending in the supplies as best as he could. So I loved my father. It wasn't until we had this one huge war and the enemies were coming through our doorsteps that he decided to go out there and lead a charge that basically turned the tides in our favor. But unfortunately, he died that day. And I want to be like him one day. I was gonna be able to do something that big myself, so to speak. Or at least help others, you know? So that's why I'm waiting on my magic, so I can hopefully do things like he did. So that's the basis of my lore and whatnot. So from here, we want to go ahead and start sharing the secret. The secret in particular is this book. I've been keeping it to myself for a little while now, and it may only look like my eyes aren't working like they should. That's because my setup is really rickety. Anyway, so in my lore, I have this book. It's a very special book to me because there was this one summertime I was looking for a second job to help pay for the bills and whatnot. And then I came across a thrift store. And in this thrift store, there was an elderly couple, about 50 years in and whatnot, working for this place. And I was applying for there, but they weren't interested in someone like me at the time. And they were polite about it, of course. They already found all the help that they needed, so I was really late to it. But the interesting thing was that I came across this book in particular. This book that you see behind me right here. You can't really, I wish I could look at it, but you know, everything's fidgety. It's in my head. I'm not gonna do it. Anyway, so this book in particular is very special because when I picked it up, the elderly couple was actually astonished. Mainly because, they had held on to this book for so long, but it seemed that every other customer that came in just didn't want to buy it. And they were baffled because it's such a beautiful book. Yet they couldn't really hold on to it because they thought that some archaeologist or some person out there would actually pay great money to buy it and whatnot. Yet none of them would actually come in and take a look at it. It was like it really wasn't there in the first place. So I was pretty baffled myself, and I said to them, well, I'll go ahead and buy it off of you. And they were like, no, you can't buy so much. You know what, I have it as a gift. You're such a sweetheart and whatnot. We're gonna go ahead and give it to you. And I was like, oh, that's so sweet. Funny thing was that as soon as I brought it home and whatnot, I opened it to take a look and saw it, and I can't read anything in it. It's a very unique book. I can't understand a lick of sense. It's got so many different words and whatnot inside. I have no idea what's written in here. It's all in code. So I decided to go ahead and one day I decided to go ahead and bring it to an archaeologist to see how they can make sense of it and whatnot. And they did. They actually took a look at it and read through the contents, and then they said that they couldn't quite understand most of it. It was encrypted. But they also said that it wasn't that it was most likely a fake, you know? Some sort of crazy encryption, stuff like that. No, not much was actually interesting about it. So he decided to give the book back to me and said look, it's not interesting. We don't want it at this museum, but here, the only few words we can figure out is key and Elysium. And then I said to them well, that actually sounds pretty important. Wouldn't you want to read through that? And they were like, no. I still don't understand why. But he gave me, like, this encryptor They just gave me like this encryptor, this little cipher. That's what they called it. They gave me a cipher to actually like do it on my own and whatnot, but they were very certain they'd like it was a fake. Cause like there's like hundreds of books like this all over the world that are like have their own little maps and like keys to certain places, and like they're very unique and otherworldly. But the thing is that none of them actually lead to anywhere. They're just a bunch of fakes. Like a fake treasure map that you can find over in Egypt and whatnot. It's basically the same kind of concept. So they gave me a cipher because they thought it wasn't gonna be that big of a deal, and I guess it's really not. So I do read the book every so often, but nothing really interesting comes out of it. It's hard to crack the code sometimes. I only read a few pages, but not much of it actually makes sense to me. If I had to share what was inside, it was like, I don't know, a history of some sort. I can't really quite explain what I read half the time. Anyway, well, that's my book, and it's a very important part of my lore and whatnot. I kind of keep it a secret because, like, the book on its own is very unique. And I guess it's like some sort of spell book, because every once in a while I read something like Step 1 or Step 2, and I'm like, it just kind of looks like a spell book in a weird way. I see some magic circles and whatnot in here, but I can only read so much out of it. Not much of it makes sense. And no, I'm not like decrypting like full sentences or anything like that. It's based upon some sort of strange dialect from like an ancient civilization. So a lot of it is just me contacting this archaeologist and being like, I don't understand what this is saying. And he's just like, well, it means like this. And it's only like theory. And it doesn't quite make sense afterwards either. It's because sometimes it sounds like I'm reading out of a cookbook. So it's a very crazy book. But I find it very interesting because it's very beautiful, looks interesting, and honestly, I think that it should be said because it's one thing that I keep on me all the time. I like to read it when I have like spare time to lose, you know, when it's like a lunch break and I finished my lunch early and I just have nothing to do for about 15-20 minutes and just sit there and just like read, or at least I try to decipher things or just look through the pages. I like it though. I have a good feeling that something's really special about it, you know? Something unique and one of a kind. Anyway, but that's my lore secret. Alright, that's my lore secret to everybody. I hope you enjoyed. It's not a very big video, and, probably wasn't that very interesting to begin with. I mean, it's one of a kind book to me, but, I mean, it is probably a fake, like so many other people have already said. So it's not that big of a deal. I'll see y'all next time, okay? Y'all have a good day and whatnot. Good night.